let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to have us get started by sitting. You can sit on your knees, and I like to actually tuck my toes here, and this can help stretch out the bottom of the feet. So this might feel pretty intense, and at any point if it feels intense, you can just untuck your toes and just come and sit on your heels. And if this feels too intense for you this morning, you can just sit cross-legged like this. So once you find your seat, go ahead and close your eyes. And just notice right away like what kind of energy you have going on this morning. So if you woke up and you're feeling really sluggish, I know for me that was kind of how I woke up this morning. Or if you woke up feeling rested, energized, ready for the day. And see if you can feel a little lift in your chest here and a lift in the crown of your head. So we're not slouching in this wherever you're sitting. Nice lifted. And I start all of my yoga teaching by asking that we come to what's called a word of intention. So identifying one word, something that you feel like you need today. So if you have felt a little sluggish in the last few days, maybe it's energy. If you've felt kind of anxious and overwhelmed, trying to keep up with things, maybe it's calm. And then bring your hands right up to your heart center here. And then as you take a full deep breath in, you're going to repeat that word to yourself. Full breath in through your nose. And exhale. Now opening your eyes, and then if your toes are tucked, you can untuck your toes, and it can feel kind of nice to kick your feet on the ground, just get the energy back into your feet. And you'll notice even just from that, stretching out your feet, how it's kind of awakened your feet. And let's do this. Let's sit on our seat with our legs crossed and reach your arms overhead, breathe in, and then cross yourself over to the right as you breathe out. And here you can look straight at the wall to your right, or you can look over your right shoulder. I'm just stretching out the spine here. Just a reminder to mute your mic if it's not already. Inhale, sweep both your arms overhead. And exhale over to the opposite side. We're going to take these little spinal twists on breath here, so really trying to focus on the inhales and exhales. So inhale, sweep both arms overhead. Exhale to the right. Inhale, sweep both arms up. Exhale to the left. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale to the right. Last time, inhale up. And exhale to the left. And then just coming to center. And I do want us to stretch out the neck because a lot of us are probably spending more time at a desk or computer lately than usual. So let's start actually just lift shoulders up to your ears. And as you breathe out, roll your shoulders down and back. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale, shoulders down and back. And you'll notice this stretches kind of the outside of the neck. Last time, inhale up. And exhale back. Now drop your right ear over to your right shoulder. And sometimes what can feel nice is you can just really gently place your right hand at your head and just gently guide your head over to your shoulder a little more. And if anyone spends a lot of time looking down at their phone, what we sometimes nickname tech neck is actually a soreness in the back of the neck from looking down all the time. Take one more breath in, and then drop opposite ear to the shoulder. And you might notice some little spots of tension and stress here. And also one last thing to be aware of, when you drop your ear over to your shoulder, you might notice the opposite shoulder kind of hiking up like this. So try to melt that shoulder down. And then let's take these neck circles on breath. So come to center, take a breath in, and exhale right ear to right shoulder. Breathe in. Exhale, chin through center, exhale to the left. Take a breath in. Exhale to the opposite side. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. All right. Let's make our way into our hands and knees here. And see if you can notice a difference now that we've kind of awakened the spine a little bit by doing those spinal twists and the neck bends. And now we're going to take cat and cow, really to wake up the spine even more. So stack your shoulders right over your wrists and your hips right over your knees. And right here, feel a nice long neck. So one thing that's common in a cat and cow tabletop is kind of sagging the neck like this, or sagging the belly. So feel yourself nice and engaged. And as you breathe in, lift your eyes and drop your belly. And feel your chest expand. Now exhale to round your spine and lift your belly button all the way up to the sky. Inhale to lift your gaze and drop your belly again. And exhale to round your spine and feel your shoulder blades expand. Really drop your head here. And two more. Inhale, lift your gaze. And exhale, round the spine. Last one, inhale. And exhale. Now find your way back to that tabletop position. So a nice long spine, again, long neck. And walk your hands one handprint forward. So we're not right under the shoulders now. And take a breath in through your nose. Now tuck your toes and find what's called down dog. So this is an upside down V shape. So in your upside down V, one thing that's common is if you have tight shoulders, you might be kind of forward like this, which is a fine place to start. But we want to aim our chest back towards the quads. And again, that has a lot to do with your shoulder mobility. And then your feet are hips width distance, so they're not touching, but they're not mats width. Now let's find a little softness in the knees by bending one knee and then the other. Just kind of go back and forth, but not too fast. It's not like we're on a bike here, just really gentle to each side. And this is getting into the backs of our legs here, hamstrings and calves, even the ankles a little bit. So those of you that are athletes, you may feel some, actually all of us might feel some tightness here. But if you train for any other sports, you'll probably feel this one. And then just come back to stillness. Now everyone take a full breath in through your nose. And this time, open your mouth as you exhale, like you're really sighing down. And again, a breath in. And now, baby steps up to the top of your mat or your hands, wherever you are. And separate your feet a little bit wider than hips width. So I have a yoga mat. I go all the way out to the width of the yoga mat. And keep some softness in your knees as you fold forward. And we want to hang nice and heavy in a ragdoll. So you can clasp your elbows, can feel really nice. I personally like to put my hands at the base of the skull and just gently guide the head down to the earth. And it can feel really nice to sway side to side. Again, we're getting into the back of the legs here. Take one more breath in. And release whatever bind you have with your hands and toe heel your feet together. Now inhale to a flat back. Your hands are going to come to your shins here and find a flat back like there's a glass of water on your mid-back. So we don't want to be rolling forward like this. And if you feel yourself doing that, we probably want to find a bend in our knees. So we're not just kind of straight up like this. But if you need to, bend your knees a little bit, find your flat back, long neck. Take a breath in, and exhale over your legs. We're going to repeat that. Inhale to your flat back again, find that glass of water. Exhale, bow forward over your legs. One more time, inhale, flat back. And exhale, fold forward. This time, inhale, sweep all the way overhead. Reach your arms overhead. And interlace your fingers at the top, release the first. So I know my arms are getting cut off, but you're kind of making this little L shape. And then take a breath in. And take a side bend over to the right. We want to think here like we're arching over a beach ball. So thinking up and over, rather than just kind of collapsing like that. Take a full breath in, and exhale to the opposite side. Take one more breath in to come back to center. And then exhale, bow forward over your legs. And we're going to take what are called half sun salutations. So inhale to your flat back. Exhale, bow over your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to standing, reach your arms overhead. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your flat back again, full breath in. Exhale, bow over your legs. Inhale, sweep it up to standing, reach your arms, lift your eyes. And exhale, fold forward. So we'll do one more of those. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bow. Inhale, sweep it up, grow a little bit taller than the last time. And exhale, fold forward. So the idea there, waking up a little bit more. Inhale, flat back. This time to your downward dog again. So those sun salutations, the half sun salutations, working on really connecting that breath with our movement. Now inhale this time to a plank. And we'll set up this foundation here with our plank. Our shoulders either right over our wrists or maybe an inch in front of our wrists. And we're not sagging the belly and not hiked up too high. So there's this kind of perfect balance. Our crown of the head towards the front of the room. And take one more breath. And drop your knees and untuck your toes. Now exhale, lower all the way to your belly. And as you inhale, take what we call a cobra. So there's a little lift in your heart here. And there's a lift in your kneecaps, but your feet stay plugged down. That just kind of fires up the legs. Breathe in. And as you exhale, come through your tabletop, back to your downward dog. So that little series there is called a modified vinyasa. So you'll hear me say that a few times as we go. And take a breath in, bring your toes to touch, and lift your right leg to the sky. Your next breath out here, just open up the hip towards the right side, and you can leave the right leg straight, or you can bend the knee. Take a breath in. Now step the foot between your hands and drop your back knee. I have yoga blocks, you don't need them for this part, but bring your hands up to your right quad. And we're getting into a hip flexor stretch on the left side. So you can bring yourself forward here and squeeze the left glute. And as you squeeze that, you'll notice the stretch a little bit deeper in the front of the left leg. Now reach the left arm overhead and take this over to the left side, or the right side. So left arm over, arching over to the right. And here, just like I was mentioning before, we want to avoid our chest collapsing, so really thinking opening up the chest towards the sky. We're going to turn this into a twist by bringing the left elbow all the way across the right quad here. Then make a fist with your right hand and press it down into the left. So twisting, again, is a really good way to wake up, because when we're sleeping, our spine gets pretty stiff, right? So all of these movements, energizing the spine first thing in the morning. And this little twist here, really good for that. And take one more breath. And as you exhale, just unwind yourself. And then we're going to make our way back to down dog. So you're going to tuck your back toes. And then I tent my fingertips on either side of the foot. And then think about lifting the foot off the earth to step back. Now that modified vinyasa, we're going to take that again. So come to your high plank, drop the knees, untuck the toes, exhale, lower all the way to the belly. Inhale to a little low cobra, so there's a lift in your heart. This time lift the palms 2 inches off the mat, and exhale through tabletop to your downward facing dog. Just be aware if you've gotten away from those inhales and exhales, which is perfectly normal, but let's connect again with the breathing. Take an inhale and open your mouth, deep exhale. Now inhale, the left leg lifts. As you breathe out, open the left hip up to over to the left side. And again, you can keep that leg straight or bend the knee. And if you do have the knee bent, you want to think opening up the knee towards the sky. Take a full breath in. And step your foot between your hands. Drop the back knee again. Hands come up to your left quad this time. And finding that hip flexor stretch here. So your hip flexors are along the front of the quads and the front of your hip here. It's a family of muscles there we refer to as the hip flexors. This time you're squeezing the right glute. And And reach the right arm overhead and take it across the body to the left. And lift up your eyes here. It'll help prevent your chest from collapsing forward. Take one more full breath in. And as you exhale, let's find that twist. So your right elbow comes all the way across your left quad. Then make a fist with the left hand. Press right down into the palm. Take one more breath in. As you exhale, unwind, tent your fingertips on the ground, tuck your back toes, make your way back to your down dog. Now this time I'll teach what's the full vinyasa, but you can always modify by dropping your knees if that's better for you. So inhale to a high plank. This time you rock yourself just a few inches forward. And as you exhale, lower to a low plank, your elbows at 90 degrees, neck nice and long. Inhale onto the tops of your feet for an upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. So remember, you can always drop your knees if you choose. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, step to the top of your mat. Inhale to your flat spine, and exhale, bow forward. Inhale, sweep all the way up to standing, reach your arms overhead, and exhale, bow forward again. Inhale to that flat spine position. Exhale, step back to your plank. You can always drop your knees, or exhale to your low plank. Inhale to an upward facing dog and open up your heart. Exhale to downward facing dog. Now inhale to lift the right leg. As you breathe out, step your right foot between your hands and set up your back foot for what we call warrior one. So I'll explain that here. But warrior one feet, your back foot is pointed at 11 o'clock. And it's firmly on the ground, so we're not on the heel of the back foot, but firmly root that heel, and your hips like headlights on a car to the front of the room. So this is your foundation. If you feel like that heel's coming off the earth, step it up a few inches. Now reach both of your arms overhead, and this is what we call warrior one. For 3 breaths here. Now, reach behind your back and clasp your hands, or you can clasp a wrist, or if you need something to hang on to, you can take a shirt and hold like a wider grip. Lift up in your eyes and lift your chest up and press your hands down, opening up your chest and your shoulders. And now bow forward. So this is what's called a humble warrior. We're bringing the right shoulder inside the right knee. And common tendency to hang on to the neck here. See if you can let go of your neck. Let go of the crown of the head. Really think about plugging your feet into the earth. Take one more breath in. Now plug your feet down. Really think of pressing into your feet to rise back up. Now let go of your bind, your hands or a shirt or whatever. You'll notice some like lightness in your shoulders, and open up to what's called warrior two. So I'll show you guys this way. Warrior two, our back foot now is parallel with the back of your mat or the back wall. and your front foot pointed straight forward. And we just want to be aware this knee isn't collapsing. We're going for 90 degrees in the knee. And then your arms out to the side. Another thing that's common here is we kind of lean forward or back. So shoulders right over your hips. Everyone bring your shoulders up to your ears and melt them down. Now your next breath in, reach your right arm up to the sky and back, but your legs stay where they are. If you want a little extra, you can take your left arm and wrap it around the low back. Take a full breath in. Now we're going to windmill all the way down, make your way back to your down dog. Now inhale to your high plank position. Remember, you can always drop your knees or exhale to low plank. Inhale to up dog or that low cobra. And exhale to downward facing dog. Notice the difference in your right and left side. Take a full breath in. And open your mouth, exhale. Now inhale, the left leg lifts. As you breathe out, step your foot between your hands. And we're coming up to that warrior one on this side. So root that back foot. This time we're pointed at 1 o'clock. And the hips like headlights on a car. So if your hips are opening up to the side, it's probably a sign that back foot is pointed out to the side. So we want 1 o'clock. And then arms overhead here for a few breaths, just finding some stillness. Notice if your mind's been wandering around a lot, or if you've been pretty much in the moment and here. Finding that bind behind your back again. So again, you can clasp your hands or a shirt. Lift up your eyes, lift up your chest, press your fist down, getting that shoulder stretch, and then fold it forward. Humble warrior. Bring the left shoulder inside the left quad. And again, work on releasing the neck. Trust your balance. One more breath. Plug into your feet. Feel the strength in your feet and legs to rise back on up. Then release your hands and find your warrior two. So your back foot's going to come a little wider here. And again, now the back foot parallel to the back of the mat. And your warrior two. So in yoga, there are different styles of yoga. Some practices, we hold positions for extended periods of time, which is its own kind of challenge, right? Because you're holding in some pretty intense postures. And then other styles of yoga, you move pretty quickly, breath to breath, from each pose. So a different kind of challenge. And we're going to do a little bit of both. So right now, I'm just warming us into this by holding these postures. Your next breath in, lift your left arm overhead. Take the right arm, wrap it around the low back if you want that extra shoulder rinse. Take one more full breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, windmill all the way down, downward dog. And you can stay right here if you need a moment to kind of rest, or inhale to your high plank. You can drop your knees, exhale to your low plank, inhale to an up dog, and exhale to down dog. So let's pause for a moment so you can come onto your knees, you can grab some water, shake it out a little bit. So what we just did is a pretty traditional warrior sequence. So yoga classes are broken into different sequences. And if you go to a yoga class sometime after this, you'll notice that most classes start the same way with some kind of warm-up that we did with the neck stretches and the lunges on the mat. And then we moved into, like I said, a warrior sequence. And each teacher kind of varies it up a little bit, but that's kind of pretty standard of something you might see in a yoga class. So we're going to take all that and take it on breath. So when I'm cueing the inhale and the exhale, you'll be moving from pose to pose. And you'll notice this is going to be a little bit of a different challenge than when we were just holding. So make your way back into your down dog. And let's just kind of settle in right here. Take your full breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, open your mouth, relax the jaw, wiggle the jaw side to side even. Just try to relax the face muscles. And again, a breath in. As you exhale, step to the top of your mat. And inhale to your flat back. Exhale, bow over your legs. Inhale, sweep up to standing, sweep your arms overhead, interlace your fingers at the top. As you exhale, take it over to the right, just one breath. Inhale to center, exhale over to the left. Inhale, center, and exhale, bow forward. Inhale to your flat back. Exhale, step back to your plank. Take a full breath. Exhale to a low plank. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. As you exhale, step your foot up between your hands, drop the back heel for warrior one. Breathe in, rise up. Exhale, find that bind at your low back. Now inhale, puff up your chest, and exhale, bow forward. Inhale, rise back up, sweep your arms overhead, and exhale to your warrior two. Inhale to reverse your warrior, your right hand reaches up. Exhale, windmill all the way down, downward dog. Inhale to your high plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale up. And exhale back. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it up. Plant the back foot at 1 o'clock. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, clasp your hands at your low back. Inhale, puff up your chest. And exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep it up, reach both arms overhead, and exhale to your warrior two. Inhale, reverse it, and exhale, windmill all the way down, down dog. Inhale to your high plank, exhale to lower, inhale to up dog, and exhale to downward dog. Now your full breath in. And open your mouth, exhale. Now come down onto your knees. And we'll take 3 rounds of the cat and cow again, just to kind of reset. So you'll notice, again, the difference between taking those poses on breath. The cat-cow, it's your inhale that lifts your gaze, opens up your chest. Exhale, rounds the spine. So a common misconception with yoga can be that it's really slow and gentle and easy. And as you might be able to imagine, it can be that way. Like we started out sitting on the mat and kind of stretching out the neck. But just now, by doing it on breath, increases the heart rate, increases your breath. And as I mentioned before, I teach in a hot yoga studio, so when the temperature is pretty warm and the humidity is high, it can start to feel pretty challenging, which I encourage everyone to check out at some point. It's a pretty cool experience. You really get to sweat it all out. So let's move on and find downward dog again. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to your flat back. And exhale, bow over your legs. And this time we're going to take what's called chair pose. So your toes touch, heels an inch or two apart. And to start, let's have our shoulders right over the hips. Now, some of you might be able to drop a little bit lower than me. If you've had any ankle injuries, like I have, you might have limited ankle mobility and you might be a little more lifted. Reach both of your arms overhead. And think about squeezing your thighs together. And feeling your core engage and your belly tight. And it should feel a little uncomfortable or challenging. Now we're going to drop this deeper by bringing your seat back and then bring your forearms onto your quads. But we're not dumping weight there. You should be able to move your arms around freely. And a nice long neck again here. And then if you really want to fire up, extend your fingertips towards the front wall. For 3. For 2. Last breath in. And bow forward over your legs. Now separate your feet hips width, and we're going to find that bind at our low back again. So again, if you need a shirt or something to widen up your grip if you have tight shoulders. And then fold forward, release your neck. When I say release your neck, I really want us to think about your head nice and heavy. You can shake your head yes and no. Again, releasing neck tension that we're probably hanging on to these days. And you can gently pull on one hand and then the other. Even forward and back a little, again, getting into your shoulders. And go ahead and release that until heel your feet back together. Inhale to your flat spine again. And exhale, bow forward. Now inhale up to your chair pose, and this time we're going to take this into a twist. So bring your hands right to your chest. And as we set up the twist, our seat's going to come back and our torso is going to come forward. Now twist just your torso over to the right side. And as you do this, look down at your knees and your hips. We don't want our hips to kind of jut out of alignment. Your left knee is going to want to come forward. So you just want your lower body locked as you twist over to the right. And if you feel like you have a little more flexibility, you can drop a little deeper and link your left tricep outside the right quad. And you're holding here for 3 more breaths. Don't forget to breathe. It's really common to hold breath here. Last full breath in. And fold over the legs just for a moment. Now inhale to your flat back again. And exhale, fold. Inhale right back up to your chair. And setting up the twist to the opposite side, your hands come to your chest. And then twisting over to the left, again, aware if your low body is doing anything funky. And link the right tricep outside the left quad. Again, don't forget to breathe. When we're in deep sensations, we tend to lock our breath. Last breath in and fold forward. And we're going to take those twists on breath, so it should feel a little bit fiery and challenging. Inhale to your flat back, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep up to your chair pose, one breath, and exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, reach both arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Last time, inhale, center, and exhale to the left. Inhale, center, and pause. And now fold forward, straighten your legs. Separate your feet, this time quite a bit wider than before. Even like if you do have a mat, it would come way off your mat, and find a forward fold here in a straddle. You can let your hands hang low, or if you have some extra flexibility, you can hang on to your ankles, your big toes even, or the outside of your feet. You can play with bending your knees, rocking side to side in your hips. And actually, let's do that to get into our hips a little bit. Let's come to a flat back. You're in your straddle here. And then come over onto your right side, and you're in like a track lunge here. So your ball of your right foot on the earth, and you can be in your left heel. And your hands can be on the earth for balance, or you can have your hands up at your heart. So here we're getting into the inside of our hips, right? So you should be able to feel in the inside of the left leg, and then even a little bit in the right. Now as you breathe in, come through center. If you want to challenge your balance, you can leave your hands where they are, and then bring those over to the left. And if you are lifted up a little bit out of this, that's fine. You know, we work with what we have. That's one of the nice things about yoga, is that there's no forcing it to look a certain way. It's just working with whatever your body's flexibility, mobility, strength is. And we're going to take these little hip openers here on breath too. So again, I'm always emphasizing that breath connection. So if you want to challenge your balance, leave your hands right here, or you can have your hands on the earth and walk yourself back and forth. So inhale, come through center, and exhale over to the right. Inhale, come through center, and exhale to the left. Inhale through center, exhale to the right. Inhale, center, and exhale to the left. Now inhale to center again. And this time, toe heel your feet all the way to touch. And you should be at the top of your mat like this, facing the front of the room or wherever you started. And inhale to your flat back. And exhale to bow forward. Inhale, sweep all the way up to standing, reach your arms overhead. And exhale to fold forward. Inhale to your flat back again. And exhale, step back to your plank pose. Now you can hold here, drop your knees. Exhale to lower. Inhale to your up dog or your low cobra. And exhale to downward dog. Now everyone, let's inhale to a high plank position. And we're going to lower with strength, slow motion to the earth. So for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. So laying on your belly, sweep your arms down by your side, and you can just put one cheek on the ground. And just notice if your body feels a little more awake than when you first started. And then spin the opposite cheek onto the earth, balancing out the neck. Now bring your forehead to center and your feet 2 or 3 inches apart, and make sure your palms are facing the earth. So your palms are on the earth. And we're going to take a locust here. So we're firing up the muscles around the spine here. So lift the forehead off the earth, lift the chest off the earth, lift the palms, and then lift the feet. So like a rocket ship, think nice and long through the neck, and your feet nice and engaged to the back of the room. That'll fire up your legs a bit. Take one more breath in, see if you can lift a little higher, and come down to the earth. Now bring your hands, we're going to stack one hand on top of the other and place them underneath the forehead. So your forehead's going to be on top of the back of one of your hands. And we're going to set up that same locust, except we're going to keep our forehead onto our hands. So set up your feet 2-3 inches apart, and your forehead on the back of your palms. And then as you breathe in, you're going to lift your upper body, and you're going to keep your forehead on the palms. And then you lift the feet. For 3, for 2, and release. Now we're going to take that one on breath, and the way this is going to work is you'll be on the mat, and then each inhale you'll lift yourself up, your forehead will stay on your hands. So you'll be coming up, and then as you exhale, you come down. So we'll do that 3 times. So set yourself up. As you breathe in, lift up. Exhale down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down. Last time, inhale, lift. And exhale down. And now bend your knees and just sway your shins side to side. These are called belly down back bends. So like I said, we're strengthening the muscles on the outside of the spine. And even a little bit in the shoulders here. So by swaying your legs side to side, it kind of resets the low back. And we'll do one more here. So you can reach your arms out in front of you. This is going to be the most challenging option, and if this doesn't feel right for you, or if you've had shoulder injuries, you can have your hands down by your side. But bring your forehead to center, and we're going to take that same locust by lifting the hands, lifting the chest, and lifting the feet. Holding for 4, for 3, for 2, and release. Now finding Sphinx pose. So Sphinx, it almost looks like an up dog, except our forearms are on the earth. So palms on the earth, forearms on the earth, and you want to think of an L shape from your wrist to your elbow to your shoulder. So here again, we're thinking of getting some mobility in the spine, some flexibility. And think about bringing your belly up. So we don't want to be sagging the belly down and kind of sinking into our shoulders like this. Think like a turtle coming out of its shell and the belly lifting up. From here, we're going to get pretty fancy and find a half frog. So you're in your Sphinx, but you're going to extend your right knee out to the side. And I think you can see okay, but I'm making an L shape with my hip to my knee to my ankle. So you've got your Sphinx in the upper body and half frog in the lower body. And here we want to think about guiding this right hip down. And I should say, if this feels cranky in your low back or your hip, you can just come down onto the mat. I should have said that sooner. So now this next transition is kind of funky, so stay with me. Bring your left hand and reach it under your right, or reach it under your chest, and clasp the outside of your right inner thigh. Then you're going to roll onto your back into a spinal twist. So your right knee is on the earth, your left leg is straight, and you're aiming your right shoulder towards the earth. Take one more breath in here. And then we're just unwinding out of this all the way back to that Sphinx half frog. Now extend both your legs down the mat. And then bring your left leg up for your Sphinx half frog on this side. So your Sphinx in the upper body, half frog in the lower body, thinking of that L shape from the hip to the knee to the ankle. And again, if this feels too deep, just bring your forehead onto the earth. Now transitioning to that spinal twist, take your right hand, reach it under the chest, grab the outside of the left quad, and then roll over. So your left knee is still on the earth, left shoulder aims towards the earth. And you can be looking straight up to the sky or over the left hand, up to you. Now take one more breath. And come back through, find that Sphinx half frog. And just back to your Sphinx. And making your way up through your tabletop. And walk your knees up to the top of your mat to meet your hands. And then come on to your knees. Now, if you happen to have a yoga block, going to have us do something with it here, but if you don't, just visualize like you have something right in between your thighs here. So the yoga block, you want to think about squeezing and inwardly rotating your thighs to really grip that. If you don't have anything, you just want to imagine that. Now place your hands at your sacrum and your fingertips pointed down. This is called camel pose. So getting into our back again, you're lifting your eyes, you're lifting your chest. Then bring your elbows towards one another as you just gently come back. And it's pretty subtle. You don't want to like dip all the way back here, but thinking of the bend in your thoracic spine, so that's your mid spine, right behind your heart and your lungs. Take one more breath, and then sit onto your heels. And we're going to do one more of those camel. So come back onto your knees. Hands at your low back, point your fingertips down, lift your eyes, bring your elbows towards one another, and looking up. Now remember, at the start, everyone came up with a word of intention. So right here, as you're lifting your eyes up, coming back to that word, take one more breath, and come onto your heels, and cross your ankles, and come onto your seat. So one last area I want to get into before we close up is the outside of our hips. So we've done a lot for the front of our hips, which is our hip flexors, the back of our hips, our hamstrings, the inside of our hips. Now getting into the outside of the hips, let's start with a figure 4 option. So rooting your feet down on the earth, cross your right ankle bone over the left. And again, those of you that are athletes have probably seen this plenty. You can also take this onto your back. So if you come onto your back for this, I always encourage that our sacrum is rolled towards the earth. So one thing that we see sometimes is like rolling up the sacrum off the earth, which is your tailbone basically. You want to think about rolling this down and bring the shape into yourself. And if you have the flexibility to stay seated, that's kind of the next level. And one thing I like to do is kind of rock this shape side to side, and you can feel that into the hip joint, the outside of the hip. And if any of you do have a little extra mobility here and want to take this a degree further, you can take what's called double pigeon, which your left leg would wrap underneath here, and then your shins stacked right on top of each other. And you'll see I've got pretty tight hips, so my knees kind of hiked up, which is okay, but we want to aim this knee down. So those of you that have that extra hip mobility, and even if you want to go a step further, you think about folding over your legs here. This one is so good if you cross-train for other sports, getting into your hips, glutes. And just coming up and out of this, and let's make our way onto the opposite side. So you can unwind. Now it's the left ankle bone over the right. And find whatever degree is right for you. So kind of the first variation would be on your back. And this would be the second level, so to speak. And as you're here, you want to think of a proud chest. Rather than like sinking into this, think about bringing your chest up and forward. And you'll notice that's a theme that I was kind of bringing through the whole class. Because when we have tight shoulders, we tend to just like sink in, and it's not good for our posture. And if you want to take this into that double pigeon shape, you want to give it a shot, stacking your shins right on top one another, and then it helps to flex the feet. And if you want to fold this shape forward, you can move there. And you'll notice as we've moved onto the mat, I haven't been talking about the breath as much. It doesn't mean we should forget to breathe, But sometimes at this point in a yoga class, as we're moving into some sort of more restorative holds and stretches, often yoga teachers kind of move away from that. So again, if you go to a yoga class sometime in the future, you might notice some similar things to what I'm doing here with you now. Treating this a little bit like an intro, you know? So go ahead and bring yourself up, and then we're going to transition onto our back. Just give yourself a nice big hug. And as we come onto our back, we're going to take what's called Shavasana, closing up a yoga class. We just find ourselves on our back and spin your palms up to the earth. This externally rotates the shoulders and opens up the chest. And I'm just going to keep us here in this meditation. It's going to be short today, just for a minute. And closing your eyes and coming back to your intention that you set. And we're just going to use that word for meditation here. So the way you can do this is with each breath in, repeat that word to yourself. And then as you exhale, you're letting the word echo. Really trying to anchor your mind for your last minute here in your rest. And bring your knees up and roll onto your right side. And if you noticed your mind wandering around a lot for the last hour, just spin your forehead down to the earth. Gets you a little extra grounding in your mindset. And then making your way up to seated. Bring your hands to heart center, and we close yoga practices with a word maybe you've heard before. It's namaste. And namaste translates to the light in me, bows to the light in each and every one of you. You can bring your thumbs to your forehead center and feel a little lift in your heart, lift in the crown of your head, and bowing together, namaste.